So I've decided my priority weakness is going to be passing. I think this is a really important quality for a winger, and this winger in particular, because when it comes to a situation where a winger can't actually get past and dribble around a fullback, it's really important that they can keep pressure or keep possession for the team to kind of prevent pressure building on them by constantly giving the ball away. And I feel if he doesn't learn the skill, it's going to become very detrimental towards his game. So looking at passing from an anatomical point of view, when passing, you use extension of the knee. This will lead to the rectus femoris being the agonist muscle, and it contract concentrically as it will shorten under tension. The antagonist muscle will be the bicep femoris, and that will contract eccentrically as it will lengthen under tension when passing the ball. Now, if I was going to classify passing is an open skill because it's being affected by the environment. For example, you've got to consider what teammates to pass to, where the defenders are. Also, it's a growth skill because you use large muscle movements to play a longer pass. Going on top of that, you have it will be a externally paced skill because the environment control when you pass it. So, e.g., your teammates' run will dictate when you pass that ball. It's also a discrete skill because it's got a clear beginning and end. Now, if I look at coaching points for a perfect model for passing. In preparation, you should have a non-kicking foot by the side of the ball. Also, in execution, you should have your head over the ball, and you should look to lock your ankle and knee and use the side of your foot so you've got a wide surface area. When following through, you should look to aim your foot, and your foot should switch and turn around so your toes are aiming in the direction you want the ball to go. Pre-test, I'm going to do a video analysis of 11v11 game with my player in. I'm going to look at the success percentage of his passing, and I'm going to do the same for a post-test. I will also be doing a mid-term kind of performance measure to see how he's getting on the test. Timescale is going to be 3 weeks for 2 sessions. Now, this is important. I'm doing this for 3 weeks because I feel that 3 weeks, 2 sessions a week is long enough to make adaptations to passing technique. Okay, now moving on from that, the smart target I'm going to set, I'm going to make it smart, really smart, because I want to improve the number of successful passes, or the percentage of successful passes by 10% in 3 weeks by using a variety of different kind of passing practices to get that goal. So the progressive practices I'm going to use, I'm going to start off with week 1, session 1. I'm going to have a stationary practice where I have a little mini samba goal that's about 2 meters wide. I'm going to have cones 3, 6, 9, 12 meters back. I'm going to have my player from the cone on 3 meters. They're going to have right foot pass, left foot pass. When they get 5 in, from 3 meters, they then get to move back, and so on until they get to the 12 meters. When they've got those 5s in, that allows them then to move on. They're ready to move on to session 2 of week 1. Now, the week 1 session 2 is going to involve a grid. So no, it's going to have a grid of kind of 20 by 20, and now what we're going to have a look at is passing and moving. It's still going to be a relatively fixed practice because the passing is still going to be viewed stationary cones. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, right, there's going to be 20 by 20. There's going to be 6 1 meter grids, 1 meter gates, sorry, so the cone outside. And what I'm going to do is me and a partner are going to pass the ball, or my performer and a partner is going to pass the ball using a side foot technique, going through the gate, and then they move round to all the different gates and try and get through as many as possible. Coaching points for this, and we're working on passing and then moving. So once you pass that ball with the correct ankle lock technique, we then look to move around and find a space to get a ball again. Also looking at communication to receive the ball. We'll look at stopping the game after kind of a minute, 2 minutes of repetitions, and then we're going to be looking at different surfaces. Can we use outside of the foot? Can we pass from a little bit further back? And there'll be the kind of key considerations in that practice. Moving on to week 2, session 1. What we're going to do with this one is we're still going to be unopposed. So what we're going to do in this one is it's going to be a 20 by 20 grid. In this 20 by 20 grid, we're going to have 4 players in the middle of the ball, and we're going to have 4 people stood on the side of the squares at each side of the square. What happens is people in the middle, they're going to pass the ball out using a side foot lock pass, push pass, and they're going to follow it. Okay, so pass it, follow it. Now, after they've done that, they'll do a rotation of kind of 2 minutes. Once they've passed it, followed it, everyone will be involved in this. The next thing they're going to focus on is they're going to go on, and then they're going to start looking at some passing combinations now, but are still unopposed. So basically, when they're now, the next 2 minutes, minutes. They're going to pass the ball. When they pass, instead of just following it, they're going to make a run to the side so they can then be the set position for a 1-2. So the person on the outside will pass back to them. They'll play a reverse pass back to them, which will be a 1-2 pass, and then they'll go and take their place on the outside. And they'll work on this for a while. So they're looking at 1-2s and how they can maneuver around a defender. Next variation will be an overlap. So they're the same position as the 1-2. So they'll pass out, pull to an angle, and then the player will pass it back to them, and they'll make an overlap run, and they have to pass the ball back to the overlap runner. Again, this will be on for 2 minutes. This gives them practice at variation of this. I'm going to repeat this kind of 3 sets. So you're looking at about 16 to 20 minutes working on these variations, looking at the timing of the pass and how to kind of maneuver around the defender. Moving on from this then, the next session, so week 2, after this session I'm going to do a mid kind of plan performance measure. So what I'm going to do now is put them into kind of a 5v5 game, and I'm going to have a look at them in this 5v5 game. It's going to be like a 20-minute 5v5 game, and I'm going to look at the success percentage of passes just to give me an idea of how they're progressing in my program. Now I would anticipate a slight improvement in passing, but I'm not expecting them to have reached my 10% target increase yet, just because I haven't used variable practice and I haven't actually put them into kind of a realistic game situation. But it just gives me an idea if they're on the right line. Now going on to week 2, session 2, this time what we're going to focus on now is we're going to look at a 4v4 versus 4. So what you have is 4v4 in the middle of a 25 by 25 grid, 1 group yellows, 1 red, and on the outside players. Now what happens is the red team, who my player is going to be on, is going to have possession of the ball. They're going to pass it around using each other, but they can also use the people on the outside of the grid. So it actually becomes 4v4, but also an 8v4. So this allows them to kind of work in an 8v4 situation, and they're passing the ball onto the outside and the inside, and they can use their 1-2s and overlaps they practiced earlier on because of the overload. We'll rotate this after every 2 minutes, so we're looking at another 3 sets. It should take us to about 18 minutes for this session. So that's that one. That I'll be looking at more like tactical stuff now. So when to pass, where to pass, that safe side, so you're not passing to where the defender is going to be, calling to people when they could turn and not. Going on from there then, week 3 session 2, now we're going to go into a 6v3 overload. So this is going to be in a tighter area now, so I'm really trying to move in the area to give them more pressure. So the pressure now is going to be working in the following way. You're going to have a 6 versus 3. It's going to be a 10 by 20 long grid, so it's quite tight. It's going to be a 6 versus 3 in here. So what we're looking at, and at the end of each side, so in between the 10 meters at each end, there's going to be a little samba goal. Okay, so a little samba goal at each end. Now the aim of this is 6 attackers are working on that, and my player will be out working on their passing. Okay, they've got to try and get 8 passes to score a goal. The 3 defenders have to try and get the ball back. Now I'm going to do this. So we have 3 minutes. We're going to rotate it around once, so that'll give them 9 minutes. Everyone gets to have a work on their passing and moving in a tight area, having to increase the speed of their decision making. And then we're going to look at kind of the second rotation of 9 minutes. Now the 3 defenders are also working on their passing, because if they intercept the ball, their job then is to try and pass the ball back through into one of the samba goals. So not only are the attacking 6 working on passing, the defending 3 are also working on it, because they have to try and push past the ball into one of the goals in order for them to score. So after I've done that, I'll be going on to week 3 session 2. Now this will be a kind of condition game. The condition game will be based around a 4v4 in a 30 by 30, but on each end there will be kind of little mini goals. So basically you have 4v4. Your aim is to try and score. Your aim is to score in one of the little samba goals on one of the 4 sides of the goal. So you're now working on passing the ball in the middle area, but also in order to score, you have to pass the ball for a 1 meter wide samba goal in order to improve your passing accuracy, as well as being in a small-sided game. This will work on a tactical and technical elements of passing. So at the end of this, I will do a post test. This will be a video analysis to check to see if my kind of smart target of 10% increase has been reached, and this will allow me to see whether it's been successful. Now during week 1 session 1, week 1 session 2, I'll be using fixed practice, because I want them to overlearn and groove the skill of passing in a closed environment before I put it into an open environment. I'd say my performer was cognitive to associative performer. Let's say cognitive performer in passing, he's very good at the other stuff, which meant he lacked fluency. He made lots of errors when he was making passing, so he needs a lot of external feedback or intrinsic feedback from a coach. So I go on to week 2, towards the end of week 2, and then week 3, I would use variable practice. Now, variable practice where the conditions change, and I'm looking this to mimic or kind of parallel or kind of mirror the decision-making information processing required in a game situation. So the overload will allow them decision-making to be similar. Going on from there, this will allow them to develop schema, which is those generalized meta programs I talked about earlier. Now, going on from that, you've got guidance. I'm attempting to use visual guidance all the way through at the start of each session, so I can create a mental picture, so my performer can create a mental picture of what the successful pass will look like, both unopposed and opposed with defenders. So that is my key focus there. I will also use verbal guidance to partner this at the start to give simple coaching points. And towards the end, when he might start to become more associative, I might start to give some tactical coaching points on where and when to pass, what a safe side pass is, etc. I will then after each session, I'll be looking to use positive reinforcement. Certainly week 1, I'll be looking to use positive reinforcement whenever he gets it right. Okay, so when he gets that pass right, the technique right, I'll give him positive reinforcement. This will strengthen the SR bond towards successful passing. And then when I go into kind of week 2, maybe towards week 3, I might start to use negative reinforcement now. Once he's got it, I know he's a good player. He's certainly autonomous in dribbling and shooting. So what I'm looking to do now is maybe give him some negative reinforcement, criticise when he doesn't do a correct pass, but then when he does do one, remove that negative stimulus to strengthen the SR bond towards good passing, but weaken the SR bond towards unsuccessful passing. Now, that will be the kind of end of my plan. Hopefully that has helped people. Mine's probably a little bit, I've probably done a bit too much theory stuff on the strengths and weaknesses. You can cut it out if you don't have to have as much theory as that. But hopefully you can see an idea of what you should have in your practice. Do not forget the mid-performance measure. Okay, that needs to be in there. Also, the things we talked about here. Why was the priority weakness so important? Why did you do 3-week sessions? That's another really important one, and that can help you. All right, thank you very much.